Dear friends, today I'm going to share with you a very unique topic which talks about the historical perspectives of tears and lacrimal gland. When I was beginning my research into the lacrimal gland in dry eye, I thought of starting from the scratch and reading about how we know where the lacrimal gland is, what it functions, and how we have reached to the current knowledge. And the oldest available literature regarding the source of tears considers heart to be the source for tear production. Hippocrates he depicted eye as three membranes which surround the ocular, aqueous, and vitreous humor, and he thought all these three humors are derived from the brain along the nerves. In Sushrut Samhita, ashru, that is tears, are thought to be produced by combination of rakt and ras, that is blood and the fluid in the body. Now, Egyptians had a theory that there are channels throughout our body which transport the air and the fluid into the various organs. Egyptologist discovered one of the oldest medical literatures written in 1550 BC, and he described that there are vessels in the temple area which are the source of blood supply to the eyes as well as the humors that lubricate the eyes. A Greek physician, Claudius Galen, proposed that there could be glands in the upper and lower eyelids which are responsible for excreting the fluid into the eye. This theory was refuted in view of their small size. Two theories which were floating and were considered across the world were either cardiocentric theory or the neurogenic theory. Even the efforts were made that the lamina cribrosa, the small porous structure, the skull base, is responsible for the transport of the CSF into the eye, which act as a lubricant for the eyes. Thomas Wharton supported the Galen theory, and it gave a major setback to the neurogenic theory because he demonstrated that the lamina cribrosa opened into the nasal cavity and not into the orbit. Nicholas Steno, a Danish scholar of the 17th century, a neuroanatomist and a saint, made his first discovery of a duct originating in the parotid gland and opening into the oral cavity as a source of saliva for the oral cavity, and this was named after him as Stenson's duct. So he worked on the glands in the whole body, and he derived an hypothesis that the all membranes in the body are wet with the help of fluids secreted by the glands via ducts. The two scientists who have made a huge contribution to the lacrimal gland science are Otto Schirmer and Henrik Samuel Conrad Sjögren. Otto Schirmer made a significant contribution to the ophthalmology by introducing a simple test that measures the amount of lacrimation known as Schirmer's test. He also studied the microscopic anatomy and physiology of the lacrimal secretion as well as the excretion of the tears via the tear duct. Henrik Sjögren, a Swedish ophthalmologist, he published his doctoral thesis on a subset of women who had similar symptoms in the form of dry eyes, xerostomia, and polyarthritis. And later this syndrome was labeled as Sjögren syndrome. And today we know that there is one main lacrimal gland which delivers its secretions through the ducts onto the surface. There are meibomian glands which produce oil to the ocular surface, and there are accessory lacrimal glands. And detailed description of the above presentation can be found in this review which we have written on the lacrimal gland, the historical perspectives, our current understanding, and the recent advances. Thank you.